A one, a two, a one, two, three. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a very late reading wrap-up. Hi book besties, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are seeing my face for the first time, hi, my name is Maya, and this very weird cringy intro is brought to you because of BOOKMAS. If you guys do not know, BOOKMAS is kind of like our bookish community's Christmas. We celebrate in many different ways here in the bookish community, but for me, I'm deciding to do the 12 days of BOOKMAS, and I have also officially decided that how I'm going to give you guys the videos is literally 12 days before Christmas. So from the 12th to the 24th, I'm giving you guys 12 days of BOOKMAS. That way I have time to pre-film, edit, upload, get a good thumbnail situation going, because I also have a lifestyle channel wherein I very last minute decided I was going to do Vlogmas and do Vlogmas. And I don't even know why I did that, because last year I did that too, and that was just crazy. I tried to upload every other day here on BookTube, and I actually accomplished that. I think I accomplished some variation within the schedule that I wanted to keep once I was in motion and had that set. And then I had just a time with Vlogmas, and then also at that time too, I was about ready to move into my first apartment. It was a lot, and our department was transitioning and stuff. It was a lot. So I have decided to be kinder to myself this year. Okay, cheers to taking care of myself. This is going to be the wrap up of not last month, because I read nothing last month, but October's wrap up. The one and only book that I have read this month, or rather, it's okay, Maya, you're in December, even though the book you're talking about is in October. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. I know relatively what month I'm in. As far as the week, couldn't tell you. As far as the day, couldn't tell you. I literally thought today was Wednesday, Thursday, and Monday. Anything but Tuesday. Guess what? It's Tuesday. It's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. So the one book that I read in October was, drumroll please, Winnie the Pooh. So this is so interesting, and I really have to thank the TBR games that I play, and specifically I have to thank Bo's Books, because she created Final FMC, which is one of the games that I played, and within the gameplay of that, I chose to read Winnie the Pooh because one of, I believe, the villain's prompts was to read a story with a toy featured, or some sort of doll or something like that. Here's the thing. I know that Winnie the Pooh is based off of a book. I know the movie series that was made, the animation, was literally based off of a book, but for some reason, all memory just left my mind, and so I was like, oh, yeah, that does indeed exist. So yeah, that seems interesting. And I was just like, you know what, that's gonna be the book. And I read it, and I didn't read it, I listened to it, and oh my narration. Can I just say, ever since I got Audible and I subscribed to the one free book a month, it has been just so amazing. It has changed my life in so many different ways, and I know that I could probably find other audio subscriptions and things, probably cheaper, whatever. So I'll definitely look into that, but I didn't think I was going to be into books, audiobooks like that, because I'm open to them, but I'm more so open to the ones where I'm just okay, clearly I don't have an invested interest too much into the book. I don't know what it's about. I'm willing to allow a different voice into this genre, right? It's very, I think for me, genre based in regards to, will I allow myself to go down the audiobook route? Because my biggest fear with audiobooks is truly just someone else is the voice. It's a concrete, can't change, now stamped into your mind type of voice, and I can't at least for me, I can't unhear that. So if I were to go into an audiobook, not like the narration, go into the physical book, I would still have the memory of the audio within my head, and I still might hear that voice in my head. I couldn't tell you what, scientifical type of terms go on there. Can you tell I'm an English major? I couldn't tell you the scientific terminology or anything like that to describe what it is that goes on in my head that is like so just not willing to give up the fact that I did not like this narration and therefore it's taking me out of the story. Because I have had audio experiences where I hear the audio and then I hear that voice for the printed work, and then often sometimes too for the printed work of other books by that author, especially if it's the author that is narrating the book. And so I always kept it to, workbooks or, school textbooks or things like that. And, I was just very worried about that being a thing for me coming into audiobooks. But can I just say, my entire audiobook journey thus far has been stellar. Don Quixote, The Exorcist, Winnie the Pooh, some newer books that I have gotten certain audio clips from and have liked for certain books that I'm hoping to read in the upcoming month or so, especially before a particular time by next year, because I am participating in a bigger thing. I have books in the wings of narrators that just hit for me, and specifically within the genres that I decide to go with. And so I have expanded from, mystery and thriller, because those are so easy to narrate, right? It's less about a voice taking you out of that, which, not gonna lie though, it still could. If you got an annoying enough voice, but Amazon is trying to sell books, so they're not gonna try and purposefully be annoying to you. But, it's not an annoying to you type of voice that takes you out of the story and you're just like, this is not how this person would sound. This is not how this person would sound. This is not their inflection, intonation, their attitude, their sass. There's not enough of whatever. It doesn't take you out of that for something like fantasy, action, sci-fi. So I have been mostly keeping to, the horror, mystery, thriller genres, because you have a certain expectation per genre, I feel. And for those types of genres, you don't necessarily need to be in the story to get the story, but you can still be in the story and get what you need without having to focus on voice and tone and POV, if that makes sense. So, I tested the waters with that. So I did, The Exorcist, and, I did things like classics as well, because I don't feel like I really have the bandwidth to really care about the person's voice that's trying to, talk about this story, and it kind of goes on and on and on, and that's the way that they spoke, it's the way that they wrote. So, it's classical. So, I forgive and everything, but I'm surprised with the narrators that they have chosen. I almost said authors. I am surprised by the narrators that they chose, how they chose to do the work and read the work. And I haven't been taken out of the story. In fact, I've actually been put in more into the story because of these narrators, and that is what they're there for. That's what's supposed to happen, right? So I was very intrigued to get a narrator for a children's book. Plus, also, it's kind of just truly, what can you have expectation on? Because for me, I have a lot of nostalgia with Winnie the Pooh, and yeah, I grew up on that. It was something I binge watched as a child so much. I remember all of the movies, all of the characters, all of the voices, sometimes even as they either switched out voice actors or actresses or whatever for different movies and stuff. I was there and I was with it and I loved it. And I really had zero expectations coming into this book because I just knew this was going to be something I was going to love because of the nostalgia purposes. Now, that could also, you know, have maybe given a little bit of a bias against the way that it was written, maybe. But, you know, I'm very lax. I'm very forgiving in children's work. And honestly, I am so easily impressed when I go back and I read middle grade, when I go back and read even, you know, kids books and stuff. I have a little nephew now, so I'm buying all of the books and things. He's a reader too. So, you know, we love, he was speaking honestly before he probably turned 1, not even gonna lie. And trust me, you know, if you know his aunt, if you know his parents, if you know the people surrounding him, that makes sense. You know, he's just very, very well spoken, very observant, just loves books. Oh, love him so much. And, you know, I want to cultivate that world for him. I want to, like, encourage him in this world because, I mean, true. We could go off on the topic of, like, there could be more male readers, bruh, sis, whatever. We just need more readers in general. In any capacity, in any genre, it does not matter. We just need readers out there because guess what? It's a fun time over here. It not only is a fun time, a way of escape, just something to invest yourself in for a little bit of time to get some sort of pleasure out of, but it also just like elevates your vocabulary, your knowledge. It gives you more of a perspective of the world and kind of different values and morals and ethics and stuff. Like, it truly gives you a almost, dare I even say, cultural experience sometimes. You know, when you're talking to people and you get their perspectives, you get their worldview, and it was made up of what they went through, what they experienced. And you read all of these different books and you see that. You read all of these different books and you see maybe differing perspectives or different worldviews from different times and places in life and all of these different things. And it's very interesting, you know? So it just expands you, honestly, in all elements in life if you really allow it to. And I think, you know, that is truly the almost otherworldly element of reading that just really is something that I just greatly encourage for anyone. And you don't have to label yourself as a reader. You know, you can read one book a year, you can read one book in your entire life and whatever. But, you know, it just does help expand, I think, your just worldview overall. And I think it's a great thing to do. So I definitely encourage that for my little nephew. And anyway, so what I'm trying to get to, though, is I find myself, when it comes to particularly children's books or middle grade, and I sit down with the book and I read it, I find I am just so impressed by authors and what they just put into these books. The lessons, the worldviews, the perspectives, the language, the overall story and plot, and how they kind of teach these different grammatical techniques and these other language techniques. I'm very impressed by that. And I think, you know, we as kids, we are sponges. We take in everything. And so having that elevated of an experience at that age truly shapes you, I think, as you grow older. And looking back, all of my reading experiences, you know, with the Magic Tree House, Little House on the Prairie, even The Little Train That Could, you know, The Little Rainbow Fish, if you guys remember Rainbow Fish, or Give a Mouse a Cookie, I think, or any Dr. Seuss book. It's truly, you know, it was the building block and the foundation of reading for me. And I don't think you ever really forget those things. And so to be able to finally go back to a nostalgia thing for me was so cool. But here's the thing. I have never read Winnie the Pooh before. Ever. In my life. I'm pretty sure I've seen the books. But I have never read it. And so I saw it for like $3.99 or something on Audible. And I was like, you know what? We're going to save the credit for something that's like $17.99 or whatever. We'll buy the book. Best purchase of my life. Because when I tell you the way that this book is written, the stories, the characters, I remember all of these characters. When I tell you I have the worst memory imaginable, my goodness, I would get lost. I am so directionally challenged, bro. I had to have my mom, when we went into a maze at the Dole Plantation, she had to be the one that was guiding us, because when I tell you I am so directionally challenged, it's actually slightly concerning. And so she had to stay like right next to me or a couple of feet in front, always, at all times. Like, I had to be seeing her, because I wouldn't have been able to make it through or make it out. It would have been a time. If I got out, it would be accidental. Alrighty. So, anywho, when I say I remember these characters, I remember their attitudes, I remember like their entire, what they were made of, who they were, how they were supposed to act and behave. When I say I saw that in this book, it was amazing. And of course you would see it, because it's based off of the book. And it truly, I don't know, there is just something about, you know, growing up with a particular show or movie, and then in your adult years, and especially I think when you're in a reflective, nostalgic state, because, okay, so my birthday is in November. That's my birthday month. I'm very nostalgic in that month. And then, you know, December hits, and we're going into a new year. You're feeling very nostalgic, right? And then, you know, every year around, you know, Thanksgiving and all of that holiday festive stuff, getting ready to go into Christmas and stuff, I have older family members. So I'm around them a lot, and they are very nostalgic, and they are very reflective as well. So, you know, it's a lot of nostalgia and reflection. And so, you know, I'm already in that state. So to have the almost crystal clear, can see the movie going on in my head as I'm hearing all of the words from the book, to have that kind of memory of that movie and that show, to come to something that I have never ever in my life read or whatever for the first time. But it's very interesting to grow up with something and then to go back into that world as an adult and just really appreciate that world. And not just because of the nostalgia. Like, it wasn't even that. And it wasn't even the narration, which was spectacular. Oh my gosh. It was truly just a mix of everything. I feel like it was the mix of timing, because I just needed a cozy nostalgia read that had like zero stakes whatsoever. And then, you know, being a reflective time of year for me, and then being something that was new to me, but also something that was familiar, so that, you know, there was a better chance at me liking it. There was just a lot of stuff that was going on that just like culminated in just the perfect moment to read this book. And oh my goodness, I had so much fun with it. I don't even really know if I said much on, you know, any of the style, technique, language, whatever. I don't think I did any of that, but I don't think it's necessary for a book like this. The official rating is 5 stars. Loved this book, loved the audio, and I was recommended by Leandra the TBR0. Literally in her live, I was saying, oh yeah, I'm listening to da 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 while I'm doing da 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 da. And she was like, you have got to read the book. Like, physically, you have got to see all of the images and stuff. And I was like, yes, queen, we'll definitely do that. Let me first get some money in my bank account, and then we can do that. Me saying that while I'm here in Hawaii, that's fine. I'm with my uncle and aunt, so, you know, free lodging. If any of y'all are asking how I'm affording Hawaii, I'm really not. I am here by the grace of God and the grace of my family. So that is what's happening there. But yeah, I just had a great, amazing, fun time with Winnie the Pooh. And I do highly recommend this to literally everybody. I think especially though if you grew up with Winnie the Pooh. Regardless of whether you read the book or not, reread that. Go ahead, reread that. In fact, matter of fact, let me let me see if I'm actually capable of doing this. I'm not entirely sure, but let me link the very exact Audible book if you are first of all if you have Audible that would probably help, but then also if you want the audio the exact audio that I got, I will try and link it in the description box down below for y'all. Non-sponsored. It's just something that I really enjoyed, and you know, I truly, this channel is an extension of kind of just how I am with my nephew, to be honest, of being excited seeing other people read and then trying to cultivate that excitement and to be able to pass that excitement on and to be able to talk about it, to be able to, you know, converse and engage and just have fun conversations. But then also too, just, you know, also keeping me accountable and keeping me reading, because, you know, I gotta admit, life is busy, life is hard. Sometimes the struggle bus hit a little bit harder than we think. And, you know, sometimes we just need a good book to just read and escape to. So yeah, so anywho, that was my time with Winnie the Pooh. I know we went on a lot of sidetracks and tangents. I would say my apologies, but honestly, I'm not sorry. I'm literally Demi Lovato. Sorry, not sorry. I do think that there may have been some purpose to this rambling. If for no other reason than to show you the type of creator and reviewer that I am. So if you like it, you can totally like this video and you could subscribe to our community. I know I never really say that because I never think about that and I never have that smoother transition if we are being so for real. So that was the first time I was able to transition that smoothly. And of course it was ruined because I mentioned that. But yeah, if you guys would like to join our little community here, feel free to subscribe to our community. It's a fun time over here. We love just chatting about books and chatting about books some more. And then maybe the movies that go along with them. And then maybe all of the fictional characters that we had developed crushes on. And then maybe also to some life stuff. And definitely we add a little bit of K-pop into the mix because your girl loves her K-pop. So yes, I will also leave all of the booktubers that I mentioned and their channels linked down below. Definitely go follow them. I may also be a little mischievous here, and I may be also putting in their playlists for the stuff that I binge, because if I am able to binge like hardcore on their stuff, I know other people would definitely want to, because we all have bingers out there. So if you want to binge something, definitely go check them out. And then also heart every single video that you watch and leave them a comment, because that helps them in the algorithm, and that way more people get to see, and we could just continue to spread the love of books throughout this holiday season. So yeah, definitely do that. And anything else that I'm forgetting? Oh yeah, I have all of my socials linked in the description box down below. I have this channel, my lifestyle channel, my Instagram, my Bookstagram, my TikTok that kind of doubles up for now. I do have another TikTok that I may try to start that is only all about books, but I make no promises. And then anything else that I may potentially have and I'm working on, I'll try and link down below. And I think that's everything. So thank you guys so much for watching, for taking the time out of your day to do so. And as always, thank you guys so much for being the absolute best bookish bestie that ever was, is, or ever will be. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye! Or aloha!